That's just a natural thing, guys, so bear with me.
Hey guys, this is Rebel for Christ. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ciara Henderson, and I'm going to be sharing my time with Jesus with you. Alright, my notes with time with Jesus. Okay, so I'm going to be going over Hebrews 10:39 because I was reading this yesterday and it just kind of stuck with me. I'm trying to understand this specific word that is in this verse. And so I'm going to read the verse, Hebrews 10:39, and you can read with me if you want. But Hebrews 10:39 says, "But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who believe and are saved." So here we see we are not those who shrink back and are destroyed. So we have two words, shrink back and are destroyed. So shrink back, destroyed. Then we have no, we are those who believe and are saved. So clearly we see that these words are contradicting each other. It was like a comparison, you know, like shrink back was the comparison of believe, you know, destroyed took over saved, or saved took over destroyed, whatever, you know, they were like total opposites of each other, but one of them we are saved. And so I was reading this because I know how a lot of people, they always want to say, you know, as all you have to do is believe that, you know, Jesus exists and you will be saved. All you have to do is believe that God exists and you will be saved. And I never thought that that was true. I never thought that that was true. You know, and it's not. It's not. You know, I believe in the devil. That does not mean that I am a servant of the devil. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of people do believe that Jesus existed, but not all of them believe that, you know, he is the Son of God and want a relationship with him. We have to love him, you know. Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep, if you love me, you will obey my Father's commandments. You will obey the commandments that we have set out, you know. So obedience comes into being saved. Obedience comes into being a Christian. And a lot of us, let's be real, you know. So anyways, this verse really convicted me because I can say a lot of times, I am saved, I am saved, I believe, but the opposite in this verse was shrink back. You know, shrink back. Either you shrink back or you believe. Now, when people say, I believe in Jesus, does that mean that they are so totally bold for Jesus, though? And that's what I completely, you know, started thinking about. You know, I say, yeah, I believe in God, but if a circumstance came up, do I shrink back from God? Do I say, oh, well, you know, or I can handle this on my own, or let me go call mama them, or let me go call, you know, my friends, and I don't go to God. I shrink back. My belief is not really belief, you know. It's just like, so I was trying to think of, I just thought it was really cool because a lot of people believe that the word believe means just no exists, I guess. But no, when I was looking at the root word of this word believe in Greek the word actually has three different, well, it goes with three different words that we use today: believe, trust, and faith. And I realized that believe actually means, you know, so I was thinking, you know what, we trust, because if you shrink back, that means you're not trusting. But in this verse it says, but we are not of those who shrink back. So we actually trust. We are those who believe and are saved. We trust and are saved. And so my question, just I guess to you, because this also convicted me. I never do anything, you know, I'll look, this comes from my time with Jesus. I don't just look up random stuff, you know, to convict people about. Like, this is actually stuff that Jesus teaches me, and he sheds light to me, or the Holy Spirit sheds light to me during my time with him. And all I do is share what he tells me to share. Some stuff y'all might never ever hear that's in this book, but some stuff he leads me to share. And sometimes I don't even like sharing stuff, to be honest. Sometimes I'm like, I want to keep it to myself, because doesn't it, has that ever happened to you where you're like, this feels so sacred that if I share it with someone, it might not feel as good anymore? And so I'm very obedient, though, when it comes to sharing what he tells me to share. So I will share it. But I just want us to all think about, you know, we believe, but do we shrink back? You know, are we the people that the author in Hebrews was talking about? You know, many people believe in this higher power. You know, people believe in God, or they believe in a higher power, and they believe that they're going to go to heaven. Well, if you believe that you're going to go to heaven, why do you waste your time lusting over sex, lusting over money, lusting over drugs, lusting over career success? Why do you spend your time lusting over that if you believe that you were going to go to heaven in the beginning? If you truly believed in Christ and accepted his salvation, because it says and are saved, if you believe and are saved, then these common things in this world would mean nothing to you. The newest car would mean nothing to you. A nice house, oh my gosh, even a husband, you know, that's something that us girls struggle with. Even me, myself, you know, like, let's be honest, like I said, this is all stuff that God teaches me. Even me, myself, you know, I might worry about certain things, but this says, believe and are saved. We are believers and people who are saved. We don't shrink back. And shrink back means we just don't trust. So the opposite of believe just means not to trust. So do you really believe God? When I say do you really believe God, I mean do you really trust God? That is what saves you. Not just saying I believe that there is a God, but do you trust him? Because if you trusted him, then the fruit in your life would, you know, resemble your trust in God. You know, no longer be lusting over or prideful. You won't be prideful because you believe in, you like, if you believe, which means you're trusting in God, you know that there is a place better than where you are now. There is a place, you have a spot in heaven, and you have nothing to worry about what's here on earth. This is temporary. So if you believe and you are saved, this is to people who think that they're saved Christians. Like I said, even myself. If I believe and I am saved, then that means that I don't have time to be, or I don't even have the capacity to care about my possessions. I don't have the capacity to care about my career, you know, success, worldly success. I don't have the capacity to care about getting a man's attention. Because if I believe, then it's like none of this stuff even matters, you know, because I know that I'm going to eventually be in heaven. One day be in heaven, and it's sooner than we think, way sooner than we think. One day we're going to be in heaven with our Father. So just ask yourself that. You know, too many of us say we believe in God, but then we shrink back, which is the complete opposite. I told you these are opposites. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who believe and are saved. They're complete opposites. Shrink back and believe. I remember my cousin, he was in the hospital and everybody thought he was gonna die, and I'm not gonna tell the whole testimony right now. I probably did in another video, actually. I think I did. But everyone thought he was gonna die, and you know, I remember talking to my mom, and she was, you know, and I was like, I'm just gonna pray about it, and she was just like, well, the doctor said, and I'm just, you know, and that's the belief thing that I'm talking about. Do you believe or do you shrink back? Because that was a moment of shrinking back. Shrinking back and saying, you know, doctor said this, God says this, but the doctor say this. This is what I see right now, so I'm shrinking back. And that's not good. That's not cute. It's not Christian-like. When you shrink back, it ain't cute. Because then you become one of those people that the Lord calls, and I'm not dogging out my mom. I'm just using that as an example. I'm saying, you know, this happens in all, you know, any relationship, any conversation, any problem, whenever, even in my own life, whenever something comes up and I'm just like, well, God, you know, this seems to work better for me, and God's like, get away from that. But I'm like, but it seems to work better for me. Don't shrink back. You believe and you persevere, and you are saved. You are saved. And, you know, take the time to read the rest of Hebrews 10. It is really beautiful. just reminding you of the days of salvation and your when you first got salvation, and your when you stood up to your enemies, and you were not stood up to your enemies, but you endured persecution. And that happens. And that's another thing about believing. Do you persevere through persecution, or do you just drop? You get persecuted and you're just like, well, God, when people ask you if you're a Christian, that's another thing about this shrink back verse. If someone asks you, if your friend's having a hard time and you want to bring up Jesus in the situation, but you're too scared to bring up Jesus, you're shrinking back. You have to believe and say, look, this is what Jesus says about that. We can't shrink back from our faith. We can't get scared or anything. If we're true believers, we trust and we are saved. And I just pray that this encourages you just as much as it encouraged me, to be bold in your faith. And I love you, so don't forget Hebrews 10:39. We are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who believe and are saved. Believe, those who trust and are saved. I love you. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Instagram and all that yummy stuff. And be my friend because I like friends. I will say, follow me on Instagram. If you post a lot of encouraging posts and you talk about Jesus, more than likely I'm going to follow you back and we're going to become best friends forever, because I love people who inspire and encourage me also. Thanks for watching. Love you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my channel. Please follow me on Instagram at RebelForChrist _ and subscribe to my channel. Love you.